Hey guys, today I wanted to talk about the books that I've read in October. I participated in the Scare Along, which is something that I started, and I read some scary books with some blogger friends, and it was very exciting and very cool, and I really enjoyed that. So I read a few of the scary classics, I would say, so I want to just tell you what I read and what I thought about it. So the first book I picked up was The Island of Dr Moreau, and this is by H.G. Wells. So this is not a big book, it's quite tiny, and it's the first one that I picked up. This is about a doctor that lives on an island, and he's pretty much alone there. He has one assistant, you could say, and then there's all these weird creatures. So this story is told from the point of view of a man that lands on that island because his ship sank. So he's stuck there and he has to find out all the secrets of the island because there's not many ships stopping there. So he is alone on that island with the doctor and that assistant and all the weird creatures that have something to do with the research of the doctor. Now honestly, I actually expected a little bit more from this book. It wasn't as creepy as I thought it would be, but it reflected a lot on responsibility and how you have to take responsibility for your research when you are a scientist. So I really like that. I gave this book 3.5 out of 5 stars. I enjoyed it. It was nice that it was so short, but it didn't creep me out as much. I have to say I couldn't watch a film about this because that would really creep me out, because the creatures aren't described in detail, but if you see them on screen, I think they will be very, very creepy. So yeah, it was a little bit not as scary as I thought, but it was still entertaining. The next book I read was Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. I read this with a YouTube friend. Her name is Caro. She just recently switched her channel to German, so her old videos are English and her new videos are German. But I will link her channel down below. We read this together and it was quite fun. I really enjoyed reading that with someone else. Also, I thought I knew a lot about Frankenstein already, but this story still surprised me. So if you think you know a lot about it, you can still get 1 or 2 surprises out of it, I think. So I really enjoyed this one. The writing was beautiful. The structure is a little bit confusing at first because you get 3 different points of view, but it's very interesting. I really liked it when I was done with this book, and I really liked reading about why she did that. So yeah, it was a very, very nice book. And I gave this one 4 out of 5 stars just because I felt like Frankenstein was a little bit annoying. He's not like a man that you would imagine now. He faints a lot and he's very weak and very self-centered. So yeah, he was a little bit annoying. Also, I didn't feel the way I wanted to feel about the monster. So yeah. But 4 out of 5 stars. The writing is the most beautiful in the world. So next I read this book. This is The King in Yellow by Robert W. Chambers. This is a collection of short stories which I didn't know. I just put it on my wish list and kind of forgot about it. But then I thought it would be perfect for this read-along thingy. So I picked it up. It's short stories. I have to say I was blown away until I read the last 3 or 2 stories in this, because they were just rubbish, but the first ones are incredibly good. It's like reading nightmares, and it just really surprised me how different every approach was. And the one thing they have in common is this mysterious King in Yellow, which is a play, I think, and if you read the book you go mad, or something weird happens, something creepy happens, you die, something like that. So all the first stories are centered around that. The last few I just wouldn't recommend, just skip them, they're rubbish. So I'm talking about, let me see, Rue Barré The Street of Our Lady of the Fields, and The Street of the First Shell was kind of okay, but then the other two are just the same again and again, and it's not creepy anymore. It doesn't have anything to do with The King in the Yellow, but with the work he did before that, and that was just confusing, and I hated those last stories. They dragged and dragged and dragged and didn't interest me at all. So that's the reason why I had to give it 4 out of 5 stars overall, but the first stories are 5 out of 5 stars. Then I read Horror Stories of the 20th Century. This is by a German publisher called Reklam, and these are 5 different stories. Yeah. One is by Algernon Blackwood, one by Muriel Spark, one by Noelle Langley, one by Patricia Highsmith, and the last one is by Stephen King. Now this was quite good. I think all the stories are very different from one another, which I liked, but then one story fell really flat for me. So 4 out of 5 stories are very good, and one was like, I don't like that. So I really liked the last one by Stephen King. I think his short stories are really interesting, and I really want to read more of his short stories because I have trouble reading his full-length novels. But that short story really was interesting, even though it wasn't like that original, but the writing style was captivating, and yeah, I really enjoyed this overall, except the story in the middle, which was Serenade for Baboons by Noelle Langley. I really did not like that one because it was very racist and not creepy at all. So overall I gave this book 4.5 out of 5 stars. Then I read The Dump House. This is by John Burnside, yeah. And this is more like a modern classic, or like a more modern story. I had really high expectations for this one because I saw Jean Bookish Thoughts talk about it, and it sounded amazing. She really loved it. I have to say my expectations were too high, unfortunately. The story was absolutely not what I expected. It's about Luke, who is a little bit of a weird guy. He has a very strange relationship with his mother, and she tells him stories about the dump house, which was a house with children that were not taught language. They were kept in silence, and this was an experiment to see whether they would build their own language. So he's fascinated by that, and he always thinks that language and soul have something to do with each other, and that if you don't speak a language, that you don't have a soul. That's his belief, and he starts looking for the soul as a child by dissecting animals, and then later on he has a very weird relationship with a woman that ends very, very weirdly. And then he finds another woman and he kinda abducts her, and he has twins with her, and then the mother doesn't stay there, and he does a very weird experiment with the twins, which is just the last couple of pages, because if you read the back of the book you think that is the main story, but it's actually just the end, kind of. So I found this book a little bit unsatisfying. The interesting parts were way too small for me. He is a weird guy and a creepy guy, and the book is wonderfully written. I really enjoyed the writing style, but still it just wasn't what I expected and not what I wanted. And even though he's very weird, I didn't find him that scary, and I just don't know. I don't know how I feel about this book. So I gave this one 3 out of 5 stars just because it left me just unsatisfied and just weirded out, but not in a pleasant way that I was expecting. And then the last book I wanted to talk about is Dracula by Bram Stoker. I love the movie Bram Stoker's Dracula. That is one of my favorite movies of all time, and I wanted to read this book and rewatch the movie and see how they compare. I have to be honest, I still prefer the movie just because the movie has a little bit more focus on Dracula himself, while in this book you only get the perspectives of all the other people, like Van Helsing, Mina Harker, Jonathan Harker, and Dr. Seward, and they don't really see that there must be a story behind Dracula. They're just trying to get rid of him. So I like how the film just focuses more on Dracula as a creature, saying that there must be a reason why he is what he is. And that's just something I missed in the book, but I would still give it 4.5 out of 5 stars. I would just, you know, snitch away half a star for just a little bit not enough Dracula for me. So this is absolutely beautifully written. It's quite a chunky book and it took me quite a while. I was fortunate because I had a lot of time to read this, and so I could get through it in quite a small amount of time. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. I really love the overall story of Dracula, and I love Mina as a character. I think she's a very interesting female character for the time, and I've always enjoyed her, and in the movie she's really cute, I think, and a little bit more interesting because in the books she's just that very good girl. But yeah, I don't know, it's just, I just still prefer the movie because that for me is like the real story, you know. I've known it for so many years. I mean, the movie is as old as I am. So yeah, but this book was fabulous, and if you haven't read it already, I would really recommend it. I am very happy that I finally read it, and I think it's probably one of the best book adaptations that I've seen. And the book itself is beautiful as well. So these were the books I wanted to talk about today. I really hope you enjoyed this. Let me know which scary books you would recommend for me to read maybe next October. And yeah, let me know what you've read, and I will talk to you very soon. Bye!